Hello. Welcome to the Overshare Pamphlet. My name is Rob and I'm the host of this one-man show. Coming to you every Monday at 6 a.m. UK time. And we are so back with an episode I've been teasing for the past two other episodes, I guess. And that is, as you can read by the title, I guess, that's the final personal ranking of all the Blackpink solo music that has come out, this year. Well, Rosé technically was at the end of last year, but, overall, their solo endeavors, well, they've been, taking a break from the group activities, and, that break is going to end pretty soon because they're coming back as a group, period. But anyways, yeah, so, ahead of this reunion and this, deserved comeback. I think it was well overdue for me also to talk about this and sort of put a final point and final sentence on like how I think these solos fared and like where I think the girls have done very well and where I think they could have done even better. Also, the ranking is not necessarily about taking down any of the girls. I think they all did an incredible job in the short amount of time they also had to come up with these projects, I guess. Because yes, they had, I would say, like realistically 1 year to all come up with something. And to be quite frank with you, I don't think 1 year is nearly as good enough to make an album. Usually, a couple of years is the standard in pop terms if you're really being an artiste and putting your own stamp on something. It takes roughly like a year, more than a year to do that. So but yeah, that said, we'll get into that in the ranking very soon. I'll just rank basically the four projects that have come out and tell you who I think did the best and where they could possibly go next for if they do want to still pursue some other solo projects. I think they will because they all established their own labels, I guess, for the solo activity. So I'm pretty sure they will be going back to making solo music. So yeah. Anyways, first we have a very, very long and exhaustive list of songs of the week this time around because I don't know what happened this week. I didn't even notice that I listened to so much music, but there's so much new stuff that I've listened to. New in the sense of either new stuff that has come out or new stuff that I found, basically. Maybe it might be old, or you guys might already know it, but this is what I've been listening to this week. And as usual, you can find it in my playlist of the month. It's called the Overshare Pamphlet Songs of the Week dash whatever month we're in. So this is going to be under the March 2025 playlist. But yes. That was so funny. Let's start off with Used to Be by Lucky Dane. This is Lucky Dave. Lucky Dave. This is a very interesting R&B track, I would say. At first I couldn't quite grasp what it reminded me of in that sense, and I still think it's slightly different from what I'm thinking of, but I finally found a good comparison, and I think it's very much a good. I think it sort of sits in the same area as, Moment by Victoria Monet, I guess, like that sort of stringy, orchestral R&B song type of vibe, I guess, but it is very orchestral, of course. The intro is just incredible. I think it's a flute, and then it's accompanied by pianos and strings and everything, and then it gets into this very R&B beat. But the orchestral elements are still very much sprinkled throughout the song, anyways, and it does remind me a lot of Victoria Monet in that sense. But I would say the main difference here is there's a slightly more grandiose production here. It's very monumental. Victoria Monet uses a lot of orchestral elements, but it's more still, I think, in a mellow R&B side. Well, here it's more grand and massive and expansive, I guess. But yeah, so Very cool track. I really loved it. Just so I was so captivated by the intro specifically, and then it just leads into a this very beautiful track. And lyrically, I think it's also very interesting because it's like about reminiscing on your past relationship, I guess, like used to be in love, like how things all ended and like how you felt like left all alone and all that stuff. So cool. Crying, yeah, but also cool because the vibe of the song is not necessarily, well, I wouldn't say that the vibe is necessarily sad, but it is a grand song in that sense, and it is about, I guess, more, it feels more like a homage paid to this like relationship and how things have crashed without any prior notice, I guess. So very cool stuff. I really liked it. So yeah, then we had on Monday, I think, two very good releases, incredible releases by two solo artists in K-pop, and I'm talking about Seulgi and Yaji. Yaji, that's her debut actually as a solo artist, while Seulgi, that's her proper second album as a solo artist. And I want to start off with Seulgi because she's the more experienced of the two, and this is such a different vibe, I guess. Well, the title tracks mostly, but also the visuals and everything from the previous one. And I think you can never beat 28 Reasons, unfortunately, but I very much support this comeback. And even the cover itself is so early 2000 Disney Channel almost, I would say. Cover art is just insane. And Baby No Baby, I think, is the title track, and it's very Britney Spears, Hit Me Baby One More Time type of production. But to me, in the album, the song that spoke to me the most, I guess, was Weakness, which is once again an R&B track, R&B ballad, very much electric guitar led, and that's like groovy guitar. But I think what really won me over was the vocals, the vocal delivery, the vocal choices and stylization here. She was a very mellow and like soft and breathy type of delivery here, and then she also has a bit of a head voice situation going on throughout the chorus, which is so good and so stylistic, and I just really really love it. It just gives that extra character, I guess, to the song, and extra lightness, I guess, to the song. So but you cannot expect anything bad from an R&B track from a Sound Entertainment. Like literally, I have been so obsessed with The Chase and Butterflies by Hearts to Hearts, which is under a new group that debuted under SM Entertainment, and the R&B stuff they do at SM is just outstanding, incomparable. Like no one in K-pop does R&B quite like SM Entertainment. I'm sorry, but they literally are the masters of K-pop R&B, K-R&B on the pop side, I guess, or like the mainstream side. But yeah, then Invasion by Yaji. This is not the title track as well. Air is the title track, and it's very brat, I guess, very hyperpop related. But what really stood out to me, I guess, in the EP that she put out was Invasion, which is still very much a pop song and very much, like synth pop in that sense, still sort of leaning in that direction, very cohesive in that sense. But and also overall the EP is just incredible. I think like 4 tracks, I think, overall, but they're all super 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 good. Probably one of JYP's best solo debut, I would say. But this song specifically, Invasion, is just so good. Her delivery, like swallow me up, like oh my god, she just goes so deep with her voice as well, which I was not familiar with. I was not familiar with her game. But yeah, so. And then there's this guitar riff in the chorus specifically, and which is very Prince, I would say. Not that the song is like a Prince song, but just the guitar itself reminds me so much of Prince and the 90s, I guess. So extra good. But I think what's even more interesting is just that is then followed by vocal modulation that they do on her ad libs or something, and it sounds weird, but it sounds also very catchy, and I just love it. Like this has been on repeat more than the title track itself. So that's the beauty of the solo artists as well, is that they have a lot of interesting stuff also in the B-sides. I think sometimes B-sides in K-pop are actually where the real gems are at. Like the title tracks are always there for the commercial moment, but the B-sides are where you can find some very cool gems, and here's a proof of it, I guess. So, Slate. Um, yes, then we have three songs by the same artist. I couldn't bring myself to choose one because I have honestly ever since I discovered them, which was what Wednesday, I think, something like that, or Tuesday. I can't remember. But I discovered this artist, and I was like, "What the fuck? How have I not known about this?" But their name is it's a duo basically, and it's called Feng Suave, and it's just like the type of music that they do is just simply like soul R&B acoustic type of production, and the soul part specifically, the soul of it all comes from, I guess, the vocals as well. The main singer is just so talented. Like, I am appalled. Like, it's just so good. And three songs, but honestly every single song you can find from them is just like so good. Whatever they touch, however, I'm pretty sure they also produce everything by themselves, but it's just so good. So Tomb of Rockets and Venus Flytrap and Maybe Another Time are my three favorite, I guess, at the moment. They're all very much similar in vibe, but they're all, mellow, vibey, soul, R&B. You can jam and chill to these songs, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. And you can just get immersed. They're very immersive tracks and very immersive in terms of vocals and vibe. So, yeah, I'm so impressed by the vocals. Like, the delivery is just so good. They go very, like, the main singer is just like so fucking good. I cannot. He goes low, he goes high, he goes into like, the very chesty voice, and then very low tones, and then he goes into like the more soprano-y, and like then a bit more into the head voice space. It's just insane. I'm just so impressed. Next, I'm gonna try to speed through, but there's still a bit more. Parachute by by Cheryl Cole. Now listen to me. This all started because I made a comparison on TikTok between Garden of Eden by Lady Gaga, best song of the year, like song of the year, 100%, and Fight for This Love by Cheryl. I think Cheryl, like, those two songs are sisters, long lost sisters, and then I don't know, went into a loop and started listening again to that album where where she dropped Fight for This Love, and I was not familiar with the album at all, and I listened to Parachute and I was like, holy shit, Cheryl has some real game here. I don't want to, downplay her, but Cheryl Cole has some real pop jams, and Parachute is like very lovey-dovey, like pure pop, good old pop love song from like, it has that 2000s vibe as well, and it's just, so catchy, and like, I guess you could like fit it into the Halo Better With Time, I guess, sort of sphere. It's just, I'm just impressed. I don't know why I'm even laughing about this, but it's just so good. Cheryl killed it. Parachute, it would have been gold plated in my fucking bedroom if I knew about it, but well, when it came out, but maybe I was too young for that. But great stuff. Like, go listen to it, matter of fact, and just go to, well, I don't know if she's still doing music, to be fair. I'm not really a Cheryl Cole fan, as you could tell, but because I would have known about Parachute if I was, but now I am. Consider me on the lookout for whatever she's gonna do next. Probably nothing, because she's probably retired, I guess, but girl, you Fight for This Love, though. I rocked that song when I was young. I literally remember listening to it in the car with my brother and my whoever was driving the car at the time, because we were like little children. But Cheryl, period, you are incredible. Yeah, so let's get into another great song. Divine Idyll. Divine Idyll, I think it's because it's in French, and it's by Vanessa Paradis. And I know, French song, interesting stuff. What is going on here? I'm getting international, but I am impressed. I am just, baffled, because this song is really, really good. it's very punkish, punk rock, a bit cheerleaderish, a bit, and there are some strings in it as well. I think in very small bits of the song, but overall, I think it's more like rock cheerleader type of track. And the riff of the guitar reminds me a lot of like "I Will Follow Him," the church song. But that said, it's such a good song, very well built, thought out of, and impressive melody, very catchy, and I'm very impressed with the riffs, the guitar riffs specifically, because they're so well, incorporated in the song, and like they mesh with the vocals very well. So, just if you wanted to have a bit of a French extravaganza for all my French fans and also my non-French fans who just love music, just get into that song, get into it. Yeah. Then we have to talk about Hot by the Seraphim, which came out literally what, Friday, I think. Can't remember. I don't know why, but I was like, I was not excited about this because I heard a snippet. I was like, well, I don't know, like it sounds boring, whatever. But then it just came out of nowhere on my, shuffle because I just love to do that, and I am literally, I cannot deny it. It's a catchy song. I think they're very much in their like perfect night bag, which I have to be honest, I wasn't really like a perfect night stan, but this is more up my alley because it's a bit more summery, I would say. Perfect Night is definitely on that level, but this is just pure pop, bass led, vocal focused, and just catchy. Like there was, I can imagine myself driving to this song like during the summer. Like I think it's gonna be big during the summer as well. So I put it on my playlist for the summer. I don't care. I'm happy to revisit it also when it's summertime. So yeah, like girl, there's so much. But that hopefully concludes. Oh shit, the songs of the week. I know I talked for quite a while, but that was worth it because I put you guys on some very good stuff. March is gonna be packed. That playlist is gonna be massive, but don't care. It's my podcast. I do whatever the hell I want. So, anyways, let's get into the real deal, the real story of the day, I guess. So yes, as I was saying, like we have properly, I guess, concluded the rollout of the solo projects by every single Blackpink member, and they're still, doing some like pop ups and like some concerts, at some venues, doing like their like album experiences or whatever, and they're still slaying. But I think very much like we've had all of it basically. So we've had music videos, interviews, all of it, different showcases, and I think the girls are now going back to. I've seen, well, Jisoo and Rosé and Jennie are all in Korea right now, and I think Lisa is in Japan, but like she's on her way back to Korea as well. So they're clearly going back to Korea to start preparing for the long awaited comeback as a group, and that's gonna be huge. I can already tell because the hype, even though we can tell that not all of them have broken into like I saw artists into like the public conscience, I guess, in that sense, but they still have each add their own moments, I guess, enough, and they've built even more solo fan bases that, and now they're gonna all come together and join their slate. But yes, in honor of that, I guess, in honor of all of that, and like in expectation, I guess, for the new album, the group album, and all this stuff. Here's my ranking. Here are my final thoughts, I guess I would say, mostly on the rollout and who quote unquote did better, or who I'm going to try to be as neutral as possible. I think as well, because I do have a bias in the group, of course, as K-pop goes, but coincidentally, well, not going to spoil it, but I'm gonna rank them, not to like put them against each other or whatever. I love all the girls, but I think they all did a great job for, as I said, like for the time they had, and some of the work paid off a bit better for some people. Some of it didn't as much, but you can tell some of it was a bit undercooked. But I think overall, it's whatever. I think I'm satisfied with what they provided with us. There are still some good tracks that came out of this. The projects, I think overall criticism I would have for all of them is that the projects don't feel as polished as they could be. But again, as I said at the beginning, I think it's mostly because they had very short time to put it all together and focus specifically on what they wanted to do. And cannot, it's just the way it goes. I guess contracts and all that is just, binding. But we did have some very memorable moments, nevertheless. So here goes nothing. Number 4, Jisoo. And I think we can all agree that that's the correct placement. Not because, my girl did anything wrong, but I think it's pretty clear that she was not interested in making specifically like a project, a full album. And I mean, literally, she did an EP. So yes, I mean, she shouldn't really be on the list either because it's unfair to, I think, compare an EP with an album. But either way, I think taking that into account and the fact that she's been very busy on her acting projects instead, you can see sort of like that her main focus was on just being active, period, and just putting out what she wanted and maybe focusing more on acting because I think that's more of her calling, I guess, and what she really likes to do. But nevertheless, here we're only talking about the music, and I do feel like Earthquake is a good song, but I don't know. I feel like compared to what the other girls have done, even like in terms of singles or whatever, I think it's just not as impactful and as thought out, and it to me very much felt like she was just trying to drop something just because everyone else was doing it. And it's fair because I think, again, business wise, it makes so much sense because you need to keep the hype up also for yourself and rack it in. But it's so fine. And don't get me wrong, I do love Earthquake and some of their songs also. Your Love, I think it's called, the other track that is really, really good. But yeah, I mean, I think what I really would have loved to see from her if she wanted to like do a full pop moment was to collaborate. I still cannot get my mind out of away from her first, I think, solo performance in their first tour they did, where she performed a cover of what's that Foxes and Zad song? You are the piece of me I wish I didn't need. Remedy. No, wait. Whatever. You guys know the Clarity. Oh shit, I'm so stupid. But she did a cover of that, and I was so impressed because I think her voice, her tone fits so well with like a very EDM production and a very danceable, overly DJ produced song. Like she lends herself very well for that sort of production, especially because she doesn't have much of a character in terms of song style and delivery. She has a good emotive song. Emotive voice, but I think also it lends because it's very husky and very, it blends very well with the EDM instrumentals. I would have loved for her to like do a full album collab with like, I don't know, David Guetta, even Zad, to be fair again, like a lot of a full EDM album. And if she wanted to keep it super Korean as well, she could have just like chosen some good EDM producers, like even some Black Eyed Peas would have been good. But anyways, I think Black Eyed Peas actually would have been a good choice. But EDM I think would have been a good way to go, and she could have done something in the vein of, again, Clarity, and I think more of that. Actually, what's their name? Clean Bandit. Clean Bandit would have been such a good collab, I think. They would have been so good together. But that was what I personally think. I don't know, maybe it's not the time, it's not the trend at the moment, and it's not something that maybe is viable, but I think she would have rocked that, personally. But anyways, we get what we get. We cannot complain about that. And again, she still looks stunning. She still looks incredible. She still is Mother. She still is, in my eyes, the leader of the group. And I still think that she did a pretty good job. And I've seen the drama she's been in. I've watched some episodes, and she does an incredible job as an actress. She's so funny as a person. I just cannot complain. Like, she's just that wholesome, and I love her. So good job. Crazy good. And she's been booked and busy anyways, because she's been at fashion shows and all that stuff. So my girl is good. My girl is eating good, and I'm sure she'll attract even more attention during the solo. Oh, the solo stuff, but sorry, the group stuff. But yeah, so Jisoo, love you. You get fourth place. Whatever. Don't worry, you'll be fine. Third place. Now this is gonna either piss people off or just I'm gonna have a lot of consensus here. Lisa, I would say, is a good third place. And hear me out. When I first was seeing the single drops and everything, and I was like tuning in for that, I was like, oh, she's cooking, she's doing something big here, so she gave us so many singles and so many music videos, and I was like, cool, great, incredible, slay. And I was actually very impressed with Rockstar and New Woman, because I was like, they're pretty interesting tracks. I think Rockstar is still very much in the YG sphere and in the K-pop sphere, which is fine. But the song had some very catchy lyrics, the Lisa, can you teach me Japanese? I say hi hi. That's cunt. That's memorable. That's iconic. And that single-handedly made the song. And also I love the Rihanna break that she has in there. So that was a very good track, and I really loved it. I loved the video and everything. And then when she did New Woman, I was like, hold on, she's doing also Bulletproof Pop, and the type of song is just very unique, I think, which I am still very glad about. The inclusion of that. Max Martin on the production, so you're gonna be eating good. But then when she did that Moonlit Floor, like the Kiss Me interpolation and everything, and I was like, girl, cute idea, but that is literally, Say So, Doja Cat, something that's been done over and over again, and also I didn't quite think it landed to her vocal ability as much, which is fine, whatever. But I was having doubts there. I was like, okay, we've had three very different types of tracks, and and they're all sounding so different, and they're all showcasing. I mean, I guess the point is that she was trying to showcase different abilities, but I was like, okay, but where is this? What is the album going to be about? Going to be about? And then the album was called Alter Ego, and I was like, maybe she's trying to prove basically her versatility through the album. But I don't really think that the versatility is there, because I think when I think of Lisa and when I see Lisa and what I want to see from Lisa, basically when I go for a Blackpink concert, is her dance abilities, some of her rapping, I guess, as well, but not necessarily, but more so her stage presence and just her performance. I think she is the best performer out of the four girls in terms of just physical abilities and aura, performance aura in that sense. I mean, all of them are great. Jennie has natural charisma, I guess, and Rosé has more of a emotive performance, and Jisoo is just stunning, basically beautiful. But Lisa, I think, is the hard worker and the actual performer, and I would have loved to see more of that. And I think Rockstar gave me a bit of that, and I was like, okay, cool. But I think sound-wise, I think it was still too YG. I still love the song. I still listen to it to this day, but I think in terms of trying to break through in the US, I think that wouldn't have been enough. And then I was like, New Woman, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I like that. That's quite different, quite a departure. And I wished she either went more with that or, just focus a bit more on the performance side overall. And then I think we started getting another big problem. I started noticing a very big problem in the rollout. I think she went too hard on the content, I guess. She was just shoving. It's been a constantly, shoving down our throats type of rollout, basically. I'm talking about public appearances and so many teasers and all those alter ego teasers that we have received where people had enough. I was like, enough. It doesn't even it's just not even a very effective marketing strategy. It looked a bit cringe, and then she started appearing on the White Lotus, which she was very praised for because it was a very good performance. But then she was also Formula One, races or whatever, and she was traveling and being everywhere in all places. And then she went at the Oscars, and people were like, what is she doing at the Oscars? Some of all these movements overall sometimes made her feel like she was being pushed and shoved too much, and people started getting sick of her, which is what happened on the internet, I guess. She got a bit of a backlash saying that she was a nepo girl or whatever. And newsflash, you actually this type of business is built off of relationships. So, you know, God forbid that she used her boyfriend, I guess, to and I support women's rights. So use your man, exploit the man, But that's fine. But I think the main point here, I guess, is use your man, but don't make it so obvious. Don't flaunt it too much because you will get a lot of backlash, and that's what happened. The Ray and Doja Cat collaboration, I think it's good, but also I cannot see how it fits on the album as well. When I listen to the album, I'm like, there are so many things going on here, and I do like it. Like, in some aspects, some of the songs are really good, and there's definitely a big production behind it. There's like on paper, everything was supposed to work here, but I think what really is missing is one, her actual soul as an artist, like her distinctive characteristic here, and also on the other hand, it's a bit the more like it appears a bit too disingenuous in that sense. At the same time, both because of the lack of character, but also because of how much she's been shoved down our throats. So yeah, so that was I think why the like that potential that this era had was knocked off and like cut short. And it's fine. It's whatever. I think she experimented a lot, which is fine and it's good. But I think a lesson learned for next time is to just dial it back in terms of how much content you're putting out. And I'm all here for like multiple music videos and everything, but just, you know, try to be as nonchalant as possible and try not to flaunt too much the connections that you've managed to get. And I mean, all the collaborations on the album are crazy good, like insane good for a debut album, just insane. And that would have been fine enough. I think it would have spoken by itself, you know? All the extra appearances and also, you know, trying to do all these things at once. Like, she's really trying to portray herself as triple threat, and I unfortunately think that is not in her bag. Unfortunately, I don't think she has the vocal ability to be that. I think. I think that the rapping and the flow and everything is good, but she's not also a proper writer, I think. So I think it's fine if she has that, but I think her main point should be the performance and the dancing and the, you know, a Britney era in that sense. And I think that should have been also the sonics of it all and the inspiration that she should have taken. And I think it would have been so good. Like Elastic Girl, for example, on the album, I think is still one of the most clever tracks that there is to it. There's still that bit of a hip hop element that she likes and takes very well from YG, but it just is a bit of that performance girl, showgirl and it's literally, the song is literally about that as well. I think if there was more of that consistency and that more of that theme, like, you know, showgirl type of behavior, like Circus, like by Britney Spears, that would have been so good, so good. And I think it also would have fit with her vocal range and everything. So yeah, that's my thought. That's my thought on it, and it's fine. I mean, she still has 3 songs on there that are like beyond what the 200,000 listens, basically. Wait, million? Yeah, 200 million listens. Yeah, sorry, not thousand, million. So which is incredible, insane. But yeah, I mean, the album, you could tell that it was just a bit too much, and the album didn't live to the expectations, I guess, or like it was not as big as it could have been. And it's fine. It's whatever. I mean, slay. I still think she gave us some good gems in there, like I love Chill, for example. But I still think that reminds me so much of what, for example, Tate McRae was doing, and I already talked about this in a previous episode. But yeah, I would have done more of. I would have taken more inspiration from Britney. I would have done more of that, like more showgirl performance type of music, you know. But it's fine. It's whatever. Now, onto the number. Well, if I do give you the number 2, you'll know who number 1 is. So, number 1 and number 2 are respectively Rosé and Jennie. Now, let me start off with Jennie because I know people don't jump at me. I think I also would agree that overall, maybe the album, in terms of albums themselves, Ruby is the better one. Is a bit more characteristic and is a bit more true to Jennie, or like not true to Jennie, but more like, you know, unique in that sense. Rosie, I think the album is still what Rosé would have wanted to do, I think, but I think it suffers a lot from the singer-songwriter trend that we've had, and it doesn't really reflect the potential that she could have had with songs like APT, right? Like APT on that album is the outlier, maybe in that sense. It's really like the odd one out in terms of, everything, like direction and everything. But nevertheless, that was the biggest moment. APT was the biggest moment, period, overall. Like, there's no denying that. Like, APT literally broke the US market. So, broke into the US market, like, made her like, very much well established already. Like, and it's a full hit and it's still charting. So, I think that's a win, a major win. And it shows, if anything, the potential that Rosé has in the future as well in the US market, and how smart that song by itself was, and how she could, improve on that and like follow through. So let's go first through Ruby. I think, as I said, the album is the most characteristic and more like unique in that sense out of all the girls. Like, there are a lot of songs on here that I'm like, okay, like this is quite like inspired and like quite, Jennie. Like, it's so it's so good. It's like so it takes inspiration, I guess, from other artists, like other, the other projects, but I think he's also so clearly Jennie, like so clearly Jennie, and literally I wouldn't know how to like change the album itself. I think the only fault I would have is that it is not as commercial as it could be, which is probably, I mean, some people may say it's a good thing because it's like, whatever. But I mean, it does have very important features like Dua Lipa, Kali Uchis, and so like Doechii. So it is definitely supported by that to be more of a hit, and the album did stream so well in 2025. So that's great. But I think the genre that was approached there is like a bit of R&B hip hop situation, which is really really good, and it's very true to Jennie, I guess. But it's not as, I don't want to say as catchy, but as commercial, I guess, as it could be. Which is, I mean, not necessarily a fault. But I loved the album so much. There's so much good stuff on there. A lot of great tracks, a lot of diversity, but also still very cohesive. And there's a lot of hip hop, a lot of interesting productions that sound very unique, I think. Like Zan is very cool. Mantra I loved. I still love to this day Mantra. So good. I love Handlebars with Dua Lipa. I love Extra Large is actually very good as well, I would say. I love the song with Kali Uchis as well. So good. So many of our good R&B spots on there. So good. Twin is good as well. Like, it's a very characteristic album, I would say. And it really carries that charisma that she has. It could have been fine-tuned, I guess, a bit more if, we had a bit of a better section of other singles, maybe, like, or found some other singles. But most of the songs on there, I think, are very characteristic and very cool. So, slay. But, again, I think she also really much paid homage to her, like, Korean roots as well. And I think it's really cool to see that as well. So I loved it personally. It was really good. But yeah, again, I could see why it wouldn't, necessarily be the biggest album globally in that sense. Still very good and still full of gems. But yes. And now let's end off with Rosé, which is, I would say and undeniably, like, neutrally, I guess, so you could say that this is the album that contains the most successful, I guess, effort here. And I mean, you could argue that it's like single-handedly carried by APT, but it takes it's so difficult to create an APT situation. APT is such a hit and such a interesting phenomena, I guess, that really hasn't been seen since, I would say, like, Psy, Gangnam Style. But I think here was even more interesting because it's so well balanced and it's so well executed that it is like just simply passing off as a normal US hit, basically, like American hit, pop hit. So that worked so well. I think also the way it was rolled out was really, really smart. Very little, advertisement, and it was just like almost surprise dropped in that sense, and it was so good, so unexpected, so genius, because also it brings in that Korean element, but also makes it very digestible and very unique and very interesting to the US audience, and it's like that chanty, cheerleadery, playful, sort of British rock as well, kind of type of track. And I think that was also the fact that it was so unique and so fresh that really put her on the map for everyone. And the song was very catchy as well. And Bruno Mars feature also gave her so much credibility as well as a solo artist. And I think also what really helps is that image wise, she sort of, I don't want to say rebranded, but she embraced a bit of like a angsty, but still cute and still feminine rock star vibe, like Avril Lavigne type of vibe, Converse and leather jacket and whatever. But that really worked for her, and that was so successful, I think, in the song as well. So memorable. So like the look was served, the song was served. It was all incredible. Now, the quibble I guess I have with Rosie is that the album is not what you would expect by listening to APT. I think when you listen to APT, you're like, oh, this is going to be a fun album, like a very energetic, quirky, cheeky type of album. But what you actually get is just an album full of singer-songwriter ballads, and there are actually many slow moments, which is not a discredit. I actually love a lot of the tracks. It's my personal taste, but also I could see why the album itself wouldn't deliver as much as the single did, because it's so different from what the single is about, and much of what is on the album is something that has been already digested a lot by the audiences. Like the singer-songwriting shtick done by Taylor Swift and dominated by her has already been exhausted. Like see Olivia Rodrigo already taking a bit of that, and then Sabrina Carpenter, for example, never worked for her until she switched to the espresso situation, which was very unique to her, and the ABBA revival, whatever, that cheeky sound. So, but I think the exciting part of it all is that despite the great moments and the Avril Lavigne also influencing the album as well, I think you already have a lot of crossovers with Olivia Rodrigo and Taylor Swift there that are not going to give her the market as she wants. But I guess I was saying, like, the exciting thing is APT being clearly a sign of the right direction she should go into. And it's that again, cheerleadery, chanty type of like production, and also the lyrical geniuses I guess here are showcased by the combination of Korean, very common day-to-day stuff, but also a very digestible sound and a very catchy hook. And what I would suggest I would suggest to her, I guess, in general, is to, yes, follow actually a bit of the Bruno Mars formula a bit as well, but not in terms of everything. Like I think more in the vein, because Bruno Mars has that also cheerleadery sort of cheeky and fun rockish sound. Sometimes I think this song reminded me a lot of like Looked Out of Heaven, for example, in terms of production, but also lyrical wise and like vibe wise, I think she could go very well into into a lazy song situation, or like a billionaire type of situations. Those would have fit so well in if the album was made like that. So I would say like look into that, Rosie. Like try and see that if you could do that. And yeah, just keep on this vibe, I guess. Like expand on that, find more of that. I think that's a good direction to go into, because I think you've already established a precedent in that sense. Like people know you for that song, and you would slay with that. So yeah. I mean, you can already see that she's definitely planning on, and also the album itself is just mostly her. Like the only collab on the album is literally the Bruno Mars song. Everything else was done completely by herself, and she holds her own super well in the ballads and everything else. They're also super catchy. I think if she sprinkled the album a bit more with more energetic moments like that, and more catchy pop hooks and pop songs, it would have been such a slay. And I don't want to say necessarily like abandon the singer-songwriter stuff, because that's clearly what she likes to do as well. But I would say do a mix of both, like sprinkle in some of that, like stay a little longer, incredible. Toxic Till the End, that's also a great song. But for the singles, I would have used a bit more of that. Like, imagine following APT with, like, I don't know, Lazy Song. That would have been so fucking good. I think they would have been incredible. Yeah, just slay with that. Do a little bit of a Bleachers moment. Like, like, I don't know, like, like band, like a band situation. Like, that would have been funny as hell. So, yeah. Slay. But that concludes, I guess, my overall thoughts on the all solo projects. I think that's was a fun discussion. I love thinking about these things, and I'm very excited to see what they're gonna do as a group. I wonder if they're all gonna bring their own little, you know, perspectives into this and like make a bigger solo endeavor a group endeavor in instance. But we'll see what happens. I'm very excited. We'll see what happens, of course, with but I assume it's gonna be May, hopefully, the comeback. But I'm ready. Like, I'm literally so ready for that. I cannot wait. And yeah, well, have a good week. I'll catch you next week with another episode. Bye.